Hey YouTube, this is Alex Bennett from Oh Hello, and this is my new design with me. So today, let's try to make a repeating pattern. That's the theme, and what we're hoping to do is make a pattern box that will duplicate itself to the left, to the right, to the up, and to the down, and all over, so you can have patterns on fabrics and things. If you don't know what I'm talking about, here's an example. Camera zoom. There we go. So these are some new pattern boxes I made from little designs I did. I drew the bees and the flowers and everything by hand. Loaded them into Illustrator. I have another tutorial that talks about taking hand drawings and turning them into Illustrator files. And so I did that process, put it into a pattern box, and got a design that I made to go a lot farther. And that's how we're starting to do kits and things, because obviously having a repeating box of bees, of the bee stickers that you're going to have, would look really good and keep everything in theme. So that is what I've got going on over there. So this week we're going to do something super duper simple. We are going to do this awesome, wonderful little tree. And we're going to just make a little simple tree box, and from this simple pattern you will learn so much. You're going to be so much wiser. At the end of the day, you're going to be like, what'd you do today? And you're going to be like, I learned some really cool stuff that I was scared of, but is super simple now. So I already made a pattern box, and this is what we're trying to go for, or something like this. This is what this one tree will turn into. Let's get started then. So the first thing we're going to do is select M for the rectangle tool, and we're going to put in dimensions, and we want a perfect square. So we're going to do 5 inches by 5 inches. I don't like going too big, and I don't like going too small. I like working in a slightly medium-sized space. Oh, I can't do that. Do not resize your box, which is something I do and then realize I'm a putz for doing. Let's pick our background color. So we're going to do a nice forest green. And this is it. This is all we need to get started on making this pattern box. Quick note, whatever artwork you're working with, please make sure it's a Illustrator file instead of a image. And the reason is if you use an image file, which is what I did first, if you use an Illustrator file, so like a image file, so like a PNG or something like that, what you're going to run into is the fact that PNGs don't resize. They have a finite size to them, and pattern boxes can grow and shrink, and so it will not let you make a pattern if you use a PNG. I can't show you an example, but it's basically, I used the PNG of this and couldn't make a pattern box and didn't realize what I had done until I realized it wasn't making a pattern, and instantly regretted the first video that I've made, hence the other pattern box that now is in existence. So we have this. You can see it's, a Illustrator in file. It's got the endpoints and all that lovely jazz. And we're going to make sure we group it together, which it already is, so we can move it around and use it as a unit. So first thing you're going to want to do when you're working on Illustrator and making these patterns, you're going to want to focus on the left-hand side and the top side, or it could be the bottom and the right-hand side. But you need to pick two sides that are not adjacent or not perpendicular or across from each other. And we're going to start with this. So obviously the background goes in the back and the foreground goes in the front, or your object goes in the front, so we're going to put that there. I want to give the tree a little tilt, and that looks good. Maybe it's a little too big. Bring it down. Alright. And using Alt Drag, I'm able to duplicate that. And let's only do 2, and I will show you why in a second. Okay, so now I've got a good little repeating pattern going on. That's all I want poking out of the left-hand side. I know it looks a little skimpy, but I'll show you why, because I'm thinking a few heads a step, or I'm thinking a few heads a step. I'm really good at this, guys. I'm thinking a few steps ahead, so that's why I'm not putting anything down here or anything anywhere else. So let's go ahead and select everything on the left side of our box, but don't select your background box. You want everything that's just poking out. The reason being is when this box goes to repeat itself over to the right side, everything that's inside here, you want everything that's poking out, down to the smallest detail, to be exactly on this point on the right. So how we do that is by selecting everything that pokes out on this side, and we use the Move tool. So right-click, Transform, Move. We can use a shortcut, Shift-Control-M, and it will open up the Move dialog. And we don't want to move it vertical at all. We want to move it 5 inches to the right. And I'll just flick the preview button to kind of give us an idea of how that's working, and sure enough, that's what we want. And then we're just going to copy. And now these items are exactly split on those points. So when this goes to repeat, it will line up seamlessly on the right side. Now let's put a big kind of pattern in the middle. Have that poke out this way. Alright. Alright, so there we go. So now we've got this poking out the top. The same thing holds true. We take everything that pokes out of the top, and now we have to transform, move, and we don't want any horizontal motion. We want all vertical. When you use a positive number in Illustrator, it actually moves it down, which is a little counterintuitive. If you put a negative sign in front of this, it's going to move it up. So then we're going to click Copy. Whoop, I lied to you. Right-click, Transform, Move, 0, 100. What am I doing wrong? Oh, I'm doing 100 inches. Ha! Okay, let's try that again. I'm sorry, Kayla. Okay, so the next thing we're going to want to do is take the top box, or the top, everything that pokes out of the top, and duplicate that down. So transform, move. We don't want any horizontal movement, and we want it all to be vertical. So with vertical, remember, you have to remember exactly how big your box is, and we're going to want to do 5. And if we preview that, you can see it moves it exactly 5 inches down, which is how big our box is. So remember, so something funny about the Illustrator program is that if you put a negative number, it will move it up. So they're existing above my window now. So instead of, it's kind of counterintuitive. You would think positive would move up, negative would go down, but it doesn't. And so now we have that we're going to copy. So as you can see, because I had this tree in the corner, anything that sticks out of a corner will end up in all 4 corners, where if it's just poking out of one side, it goes left and right. So that's what I was thinking of. That's why I didn't put a tree down here, because I knew there'd be a tree coming. Now, I purposely didn't line these up exactly right to show you that even once you've done this, you can come in and select both, and now if you use your arrow keys or move them around, they're going to move in unison exactly 5 inches apart. So we can come in and space it out exactly how we want it. And the reason why I'm saying exactly so much is it is really, really important, because precision is what makes your pattern look pretty, have no seams. It needs to be precise. So I think that is a pretty good start. We've got this big trees moving and everything. The next trick we're going to do is select the background, Control C, which will copy. Now I'm on a Windows computer, but you're more than welcome to do whatever copy is for Macs, and this works. It's literally just the button, the letter that will be different. So we're going to copy the background, and there's 3 ways to paste in Illustrator. You can paste with Control V, which will move the box into the top layer, but we don't want that. What we want is to Control C and Control B, which will paste it exactly on top of itself, exactly, and B will put it behind the layer behind the object you copied, and Control F will put it in the layer in front. And there's reasons when you'd want to use these at different times. Control B is what we need now. So Control B and place it exactly behind the background. But now we're going to come over here while it's still selected, and we're going to make sure we have no fill and no strokes selected. And what that's going to let us do is that's telling Illustrator, hey, when I go to make this into a pattern, this box with nothing in it, that is what I want to be repeating. So because it's perfectly lined up with our background, we can now just select everything related to the pattern, and literally, this is how easy it is, guys. Drag it into your swatch panel. You're done. You've just made a repeating pattern. Let's go ahead and see how it looks. Bam. We've got our repeating pattern. But let's say I don't like what's going on. You know what? I wanted some stuff between these little trees, but I need to edit it now. Well, I could come over here on this side over here and maybe throw in a little tree. Whatever you do that doesn't touch the edge in the design of this pattern box, you can go crazy. It doesn't matter. You don't need to move it. You don't need to do anything. It's only if it touches the edges that you have to duplicate it. So you can have some real intricate, unique designs and then have like a little more simpler. Actually, it doesn't really matter because you're going to move it. As long as you know that if it touches the edge, it has to be duplicated, anything you do in the middle can just be totally fine. But for example, we're going to go back. I could put something here, drag it over here, and have variations of it, but we don't want that. We want to just quickly edit the one we've done. So what you're going to do is you're going to come over here to the right where you've got your pattern. So we've got it right here, and you just double click on it. What this is going to do is it's going to open up your pattern making selection kit. The ones that have this like real color look to them is what's on top. But remember, we have one on the left and one on the right. So if I move just one, it's only going to remove that second half that's sticking out. So we don't want that. But we can take this guy, who's full colored, and put him in the middle, and zoom out, and now we've kind of got a preview of our pattern. And so now it went from being, you know, two lines with the big tree in the middle to now they're almost like a box around a big tree. But this is an easy way to come in and just quickly manipulate what you want your pattern to be and get like a simple way to get back in here. But I don't want that. We're good with this. It's not the most pretty pattern, but you know, it definitely illustrates my point. Get it? Illustrate, Illustrator. Come on, guys. Stay with me. Alright, so now the great thing about a pattern is once you have it, super easy to come in here and make some really, really good. Here we go. I need to drop that there. Make some really good duplicates. So let's say I was going to make this pattern for the Erin Condren. Well, I know I'm going to take my box tool. I know 1.5 by 1.9 is the box size. Oh, look at that. Our pattern doesn't really fit. How do we fix that? Bam. We're going to select our box. We're going to right-click Transform. So get to this Transform menu, and we are going to Scale. And what Scale does normally is it changes the whole shape that we're building. But we don't want to change the size of the object. We just want the inside to be different. So by unselecting Transform Object and having Transform Pattern selected, we can come up here and start adjusting with our arrow keys the pattern inside that box. I think that's probably a little too detailed for an Erin Condren. That's pretty good. And we can hit OK. So that's how you can adjust your pattern size within a shape, and that's really, really useful. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I hope you got a lot out of this class or this little design with me I did. It's a great way, again, to expand what you know and take something you've already done and get more out of it, get a little more mileage out of some hard work you've already done, maybe from the other videos. And I really appreciate you guys sticking with it and watching me every week as I get better and as we get better together. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribing. Like this video if you really like what I taught you. If not, you know, go away. And leave some comments if you want anything for me to design next week. Also, a little bit of an announcement. I will be doing my own YouTube channel, finally, what people think I should be doing. It's going to be Above the Telescope on YouTube. I'm sure Kayla's going to link it down below. And there's just some travel videos from me that are there right now, but you really don't need to watch those. you know, there before I got good at this whole video thing, and I'm still kind of goofy and not great at it. So if you subscribe over there, I'll be putting out new content and changing that soon, and I'm super excited because we're going to do a theme called Let's Try This, or something along those lines, where we're going to try to not just do like reactions, but like let's try to save a life. And it's going to be the process of figuring that out. Let's try to build a rocket ship. Let's try to make a new thing in Illustrator. Let's try, and it's just me going around, and I love learning, and I'm so excited to share what I learn with people. And from doing these design with me is that I really want to do that with other things. And there's so much out in the world that I'm excited to share with people, I think, and that I want to learn about, that I think it'd be really cool if we could go out and do it together, and I film it. So if we go out to, you know, I want to, you know, save a life. Well, let's go talk to a doctor. What's the easiest way to save a life? What would be the most impactful way that an average person could do that? And I like big picture ideas. I like challenges that are, you know, a little far-fetched, and that's where at the end of every week you guys can come in and tell me, what am I going to try next week? I don't know. Maybe I'll even get a little spinning wheel, and we'll put like options on it and do something like that. But I'm just so excited at the possibilities. So thank you guys for tuning in. Check that out if you want. I won't post any videos until I'm ready, but at least you'll be ready with me. I don't know why my shoulders go up. But anyways, so thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next week.